time. I got kind of a weird cereal here, but it's loaded with blueberries. Can you say blueberries? Say
No.
blueberries.
No.
Do you ever eat blueberries?
Mhm.
You never ate blueberries?
No.
Then you're missing something there, that's for sure. What kind of fruit do you like?
Um,
Bananas,
banana and
apples, but you never ate blueberries. Hmm.
what?
Good morning, Albert.
Good morning.
And,
Day in the life. This is one very intelligent child here. Friendly, sociable, and they all are. So is there something you want for breakfast?
orange.
Orange? You really want to have, that's not a breakfast though. Not a breakfast. She's always in a good mood.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes she's not. I'm trying to figure what she wants to eat for breakfast. Good morning, Anthony.
Sandwich?
I was asking her what she wants to eat for breakfast.
Ika? Ang sabi mo? Itlog?
Yeah. What does she eat for breakfast anyway?
She rice with hot dog and eggs.
Rice with hot dog and eggs.
Yeah.
I know the first thing she said was rice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the first thing she said was rice.
Ikaw, Dylan,
Rice with
do you want a sandwich?
with hot dogs and egg? Well, I could cook up something. She likes rice with hot dogs and egg. It's for breakfast, she said.
Natay ako.
Yeah.
Oh, cheese.
Well, let me see the hot dogs.
Wala?
It's like a,
Rice, egg, and hot dogs.
well, we could
Okay,
we could probably put something together for you. But you gotta have breakfast. You gotta have breakfast. How old are you now? What age are you?
5.
You're 5? Wow. Big girl. Yeah, the Philippines Breakfast of Champions. I got this crap I'm eating here, other than the blueberries. It's this flaky type of cereal thing. It's not the... It's actually pretty bland. Of course, I put almond milk in there. You know, it's purple now from the blueberries. But I try to incorporate the blueberries in here.
This one.
Got this flaky stuff, and it's not, you know, it's not really tasty.
Wala.
Melon.
It wasn't a good choice of cereal.
Papay.
Oh no, I think I'm just gonna eat the blueberries out of this thing, really.
Ham.
Well, a lot of these kids, they don't experience other fruits like blueberries and things like that. So, for when they're a kid, you know, rice is always the staple, you know.
And hot dogs or ham?
You got more ham?
Just a little one.
Well, she can have some ham and eggs or something if she'll eat it, but, well, with rice, of course.
Itlog lang. Na itlog.
Naitlog. Nasa
She should be drinking milk, but we ran
We
out.
have milk
Oh, yeah, we're
already.
supposed to
We
pick
have
that up.
to-
And she probably won't drink almond milk. And I gotta buy more almond milk too, anyway. Just a day in the life, folks. Day in the life. Day in the life. I think I'm just gonna eat the blueberries out of here. Can't get enough of them. No, I mostly eat these for nutrition. I mean, they have a great taste, but it's more for the nutrition value. Let's put it this way, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with blueberries. The Filipino diet out here, though, is might be pretty bizarre to a lot of foreigners. Oh, the one thing that grosses me out that they eat is blood. They eat blood. I don't know, it's blood from a pig. I don't know what they call that out here. God, I can't stand looking at that. But it's like a real, I don't know, like a real delicacy, I guess. Not to me. I don't even want to look at it. I seen they had it. They had it in a freezer bag, you know. And I'm saying, you really eat that stuff? I just can't see how. But then again, you know, that's the cultural differences, you know. What might be gross to you is, you know, quite delectable to somebody else. Yeah, it's breakfast. I don't know. I generally got to have some protein in the morning, so never mind what you saw in the bowl. That's really not of any protein. I got to have some protein. I generally have 2 eggs in the morning, and then when I get really bad, you know, I might air fry some or mix it in with the eggs, scrambled eggs, and those are my carbs, but they're not good carbs. But you know, when you're hungry, I mean, eggs and potatoes go together really well. There was a time I used to just love having eggs and potatoes, scrambled eggs, and you could put that in a sandwich or just eat it straight or whatever. But God, I got a good night's sleep last night too. Well, I got 7 hours this time. I don't normally. Shit. Got to catch up on my sleep. Been a lot of activity here, you know, the holidays and stuff. Been a hell of a lot. But I got to start really getting back into my, which I have not 100%, to be quite honest with you, my routine of the treadmill and my little hand weights. I got to do some calisthenics. Something's very simple. Just, you know, just put your hands against an immovable object and do it's kind of like a stand-up push-up, you know. Now, regular push-ups on the floor, I'll be honest with you, I haven't been doing that. But it wouldn't hurt. And one of the reasons I don't do that is I think it puts a little bit pressure on my lower back. Maybe that's why I'll rather do the kind of a calisthenic where you just put your hands against an immovable object like a wall or something or a shelving, bend your body forward and do kind of a push-up in that way. Resistance, you know, resistance training. Well, you know, I said I'm not making no resolution this year. 'Cause most resolutions don't work, and I know that. And I think most people know that. My resolution is to be able to get up the next morning. Yeah. Become a senior. I always like that title. Sometimes it has its benefits. Getting ahead of the line at a pharmacy or something. There's some places that give you a little discount. There's even some hospitals if you have to go there for something or some test. Or a lot of times even the ferry they give you a discount on the ferry. So you know, there's some benefits of being an older dude. Not always though. The biggest benefit is just staying alive. Staying alive. Staying alive. All right, who do we got out here? The only familiar name is Anthony here. That's AJG. Anthony. No, my breakfast ain't done. I'm going to eat the blueberries out of that sucker. I just don't like that cereal. It's called Fitness. It's Finesse or something. I know, I picked it up when I was in Cebu thinking, okay, I'll try this. I more like something like a little crunch to it, something like granola or something. You don't want to eat too much granola. Gotta remember I did that in Cebu. That was a big mistake. I remember it had raisins and shit in there and dates and stuff. And I don't want to tell you the reaction I had from that. It wasn't beneficial on a trip and having to come back on a grab cab or something and stop at this CR over here at the rest stop, you know. Yeah, watch what you eat before you go on the road. A little advice. Don't want to get too graphic here. It's a combination of the other thing. I eat, fish oil tablets and all that. I don't take a lot of vitamin E, just 125 milligrams. You don't want to overdose on E. That's and garlic oil, I take that in tablets too. And you take all that shit together, then you take magnesium. Well, and not to mention olive oil that I put in my diet, before I go to bed. And the combination of all that is, it's not good. Let's put it that way. If you want to clean out your system or something, well, that's one way of doing it. I mean, it's good shit I take, but don't sometimes all at once. It's probably not the best idea. Carl is here. Hello, Carl. Oh, I know I've been getting lazy in the mornings. I wake up, I'm like taking my time to get around to even breakfast. And this, I'm not even finished with my breakfast. I'm just eating some of the blueberries out of here. And I'm going to wind up making some eggs. I don't even like to look at it. One thing about blueberries, you put it in the cereal though, everything turns purple. Ever get blueberry juice on your hand? It's like a stain. Stop scratching, Ginger. I'm giving you special medicine for that. Don't start doing that. Yeah, she's on a little steroid thing. Prednisone. For up to 3 to 5 days. Because she gets these skin irritations all the time. She's always scratching. I mean, it becomes irritation to me. Just watch. Stop scratching. I don't know whether it's working or not. I think she's scratching less, though. She had a lot of skin irritations, but especially between her pads on her feet. That was really bad. I mean, red and inflamed and just, gosh. Hey, stop. I don't know if that damn was, it's a real low dose of prednisone. Maybe that's why it's not. You don't want to give too high a dose. Oh, that never worked for me, Carl. Nah. Well, maybe I would have taken it regularly, though. That might have something to do with it. I have melatonin. It's 3 milligram tablets, but I never took much of that. It's hard to find the right dose. It comes in 1 milligram. You got 3 milligrams. I don't know if it gets higher than that, but Ginger, stop. Then these dogs were on the rag, both of them at the same time. That's always a disaster. They get moody and emotional, like any human woman does. Then, of course, the trail they leave around the house. Good thing I don't have carpeting in here. I'd be in big trouble. Constantly mopping around the house. And other dogs, males, they can smell that up to a half a mile away. I'm not kidding you. It's a fact. They say when your dogs are in heat, if they're in the house a lot, shut the windows if you have any kind of windows that open. And because these dogs, I've seen one time like 6 dogs were outside. And they could sense another dog that's in heat. It's just amazing. Imagine if we as humans could do that. That means you could know which woman is horny. A lot of these expats coming here, boy, that would be a tool for them. I know which woman wants it. Well, probably a good thing that we don't. If you think about it, really. I also wouldn't want the incredible sensitivity of a dog's nose. I don't know, what do they say? It's like 1,000 times more sensitive than our nose. I don't think that would work for humans real well. I just don't think. I mean, there's certain smells that you don't want to smell that are greatly amplified if you had the sensitivity of what a dog has. I really don't think. Just imagine everything is magnified. That means you could go near somebody at a distance that got underarm odor or whatever. And you got to smell that with an intensity. Not to mention a whole shitload of things on the list that I could say. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll pass with that too. I got cantaloupe here. I've got kiwi, apples, mango, and I got the cantaloupe in them. Yeah, that's going to be part. Yeah, we're going to take these puppies apart this morning. That'll be part of my breakfast, no matter what I eat. Yeah. You know, we don't get cantaloupe over here where I live very often. And every now and then somebody sells it. And, you know, whether it's really fresh or sweet, that's another thing. But we don't get cantaloupe too often here. When we do, we always buy a couple of them. Well, believe me, I've seen fruit go to waste around here. I'm going to give you a prime example right now. We've got a fruit basket here, and the mango we have in here, look what's happening to it, because nobody's... We always make use of the mango. We make mango shakes and stuff, but this is getting all wrinkly. This one here is all turning black, and it's just overly ripe. Kiwi, they're expensive, but kiwi is really good. And I love these little orange, you know, these, I forgot what they call these, but these here, they peel right off. They peel right off. But you see what's happening with the mangoes. This one is all mushy now, and it shouldn't be in here. You know, one thing spoils the bunch. But the kiwi, expensive, but they're really, really good. Apples and cantaloupe. So yeah, we eat our fruit around here. You making some breakfast for her?
Making them sandwich.
Are you making her or you?
Her and Dylan.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know. She was hungry for something. I said, what do you like to eat? She says, well, rice, of course, rice. She's going to say rice. But I guess she likes rice with like hot dogs or something, or some kind of a, yeah, an egg. Okay. Yeah, I'll pass on that too, Carl, let me tell you. Now, I ran out of my green tea, and that's a big thing around here, and I got this Thai tea. It comes in a tin. It's very red in color. So I got to hit the stores today because I got to see who's selling that. Usually my standard tea is just a Lipton green tea. It's just a standard Lipton. Sometimes I put 2 bags in there to get the extra, you know, I don't know what's in there, polyphenols or the antioxidants, whatever. And you know, I always talk about shit like that on here. There's a reason, because I don't care whether you smoke or not, or, you know, you have so much environmental shit going on that you need to keep your cells, you know, really, an immune system really strong. And I'm going to tell you something, especially if you live out here in the Philippines. I mean, I think that's really important. People are getting sick all the time out here. And as you get older, too, you know, your immune system might get a little, you know, retarded. Okay, can't think of a word. Depressed, you know. So basically, you got to do what you got to do. That's like a personal choice that you make. I'm not going to force people to ever, you know, listen to my advice on shit like this. I can't force anybody to do anything. I'm probably alive because of my good habits, as, you know, per my bad habits. I'm probably alive because of that. In fact, I'm pretty sure I actually am. Hello, Sal. What are you doing, Sal? She's such a sweetheart. What's she doing, baby? She loves her daddy. She loves her daddy. This dog comes up to me when I'm in the living room, and she's so spoiled. They both are. But I'll put her foot under her belly and rub her belly, or I'll scratch her head, rub her head, and she ain't going to leave. She's there for the duration. So talk about dogs that are spoiled. These dogs are very spoiled. Any dog I've ever had in my life, they were terribly spoiled. No signal. What signal? I should have a good signal. I should. But the one thing about dogs, which is sad, is that they don't live as long lives as humans. God, you could have turtles that could live to 150 years old. But dogs, well, Ginger, the other dog, she's like 7 now. And that's starting what you would call actually older age on a dog. Although the dogs I've had in my life, the last, well, when I was in Hawaii and then Seattle and Hawaii, those two dogs lived to be 15 and 3/4 years old. Yeah, they were well taken care of. They probably had some good genetics or something in them. I don't know, but had to do with loving and caring and feeding them right and all that. The saddest thing, of course, is having to put an animal down, and we've had to do that a few times, which is not a. I didn't like to talk about it. It was a very emotional thing for me when we had to do that. I'm in a dead spot right now. No, I'm in front of the house. Shouldn't be a dead spot. How is it right now? Yes, no, maybe so. I should not be in a dead spot. Well, anyway, no, it was if you tell me. Okay. Well, while they're cooking, I gotta figure out when they stop using the frying pan. I gotta think what I'm gonna make here. As I said, my morning meals are just varied. As I said, sometimes I don't know what the hell to eat. You'll hear me saying that a lot. What am I gonna have this morning? But it always winds up having to have a couple of eggs or something, and for the protein, you got to keep up your protein as you get it. That's the one thing you need to keep up is your protein, or else you will become frail. A word that's very morning, neighbor.
Hey, buddy.
Okay, there is a topic I could come up with here. The truth about living out here. What is my take on all this? In all seriousness, what is my take on actually living out here as long as I have? It's not a subject you asked me to talk about, but I think in review, certainly willing to talk a little about that. It's been a really interesting experience culturally because, I've never lived in another country before, other than the Philippines. And I had my stories in the past when I first was out here and all that, and a lot of people experienced culture shock when they come out here for the first time. And I know I most certainly did. It was overwhelming to me. I mean, the traffic, the people, and the streets, the noise level, the decibel level, and then especially going down to Cologne market area, the whole Cologne area. That was really an overcrowded, crazy place over there. A lot of activity and a lot of thieves too. Though we never got ripped off, but you got to be careful. But Cologne area, just when I first went there, it was like, within the second day or something, I went to Cologne area. It was like, happened to be a very polluted day. I don't know. You could actually see the pollution, the blue, gray, in the street. You look down, you could just see it. But there were so many people. But the other thing that was overwhelming is, everybody wants to attract people to their business. So one of the common things they do out here is play loud music from their store. And that, turns me off. You want to have a pleasant shopping experience, not to have this blaring music. I mean, they'll do anything to attract business because there's other businesses around. They'd rather you come into their store if you're playing some popular music or something or Filipino music or something, that their theory is that it's going to attract people, but it actually repels me, If they were playing some soft, really nice music, relaxing, you're shopping, as they do in a lot of department stores. There might be some relaxing music, relaxes you to do some shopping and doesn't clutter your mind with a big heavy beat or some insane music or something. That makes a good shopping experience. And I'd rather go in stores that have that than somebody that's has a cheap speaker and it's loud and they figure, well, that's a way of making business. But it's a total turn off to me because I'm not really big on loud music. And even when I was growing up as a teenager, I didn't, I wasn't into headbanging music, and I really wasn't a heavy metal freak at all. Megadeth and all that bands, and I was never really into that. A lot of teens still are, but that was never me. I told you I never followed the cattle, and I meant that when I said that. I didn't do things because everybody else was doing it. Very rarely, really. And one of the funniest times of my life during, junior high, starting there, when some of these styles came out, and this is funny enough to talk about, really. You remember the mod era? Mod, M-O-D. Mod was like, you'd wear like polka dot shirts and shit like that. Everything was like polka dots. And I had a few shirts like that, but that mod era didn't last very long. Then the most insane one that really didn't last very long. And I remember buying a shirt like that. It was the only time I was ever trendy. That was in junior high, whatever. Was Nehru shirts. Nehru, Nehru shirts. It's like you had this collar that looked kind of like a priest collar, That didn't last very long. The other one was, you know what an iridescent shirt is and what the name iridescent means? It's like a material that it kind of has a multicolor in it, and most of these shirts were some kind of a polyester, which I didn't like on my skin. And you know how you could get traumatized by something really from your past. I mean, and when I say traumatized, I'm using that word kind of heavily, but I remember, I don't know, it was a material I used to wear. It was this iridescent shirts, and I don't know what it was. It just didn't agree with my skin. And there's a certain kind of material I would never wear. First of all, wool. Forget about wool. Unless it had a lining on it or something, I could not wear wool because my skin would get irritated. A lot of people get with wool. A wool hat is one thing, but to wear a wool shirt of some sort. Oh, what was that style? Oh, shit. That was really the most insane one I'm thinking of here. What was this kind of shirt? It was like hairy. What was it made of? It was like wool. There was a certain design or style. What the hell was that called? It was made of wool, and I can't remember what it was, but it was really uncomfortable. Did I ever have pointed black Beatles shoes? No, I never went that route. I remember when I was a kid, they were popular. And you go into these little department stores and shit, they had a whole counter full of Beatle wigs. I shit you not. And if you grew up in that era like I did, I certainly remember that. They had Beatle wigs. And you remember that old Beatle hairstyle they had. It looked like their hair was cut with a pot and they cut around it with a scissor or something, the old Beatles style. No, I never bought a Beatles wig, just to let you know. I told you, except for the couple of styles that came out, I was never trendy. I mean, I wore bell-bottoms, bell-bottom jeans, but not the elephant ones, where you had the big bell on there. If a good wind came up, you'd probably float in the air or something, get swept away. I wore bell-bottoms. I did wear bell-bottoms for a period of time. I didn't mind the bell-bottoms, but not to be, what I call the elephant bell-bottoms, where you had that flare in there that was like huge. As I said, if a big gust of wind came by, But that's as trendy as I got, really. So beyond that period of time, and during high school, I wore jeans and I bought what you'd call these dingo boots. They were leather boots, got a good sized heel on there, at least a 2-inch heel or something. That was standard issue for me for a long time. I'd wear these boots, leather boots, with my jeans. And that was pretty standard issue for, I think, a lot of people. Never saw the wigs, but I had my boot. No, I never got the Beatle boots, though. No. I tried different styles in school, but it just didn't jive with me. But my standard thing in school, and also, sometimes there were flannel shirts, which are jeans. That was popular. I like the flannel. I like the flannel. The lumberjack look. But I used to wear a flannel shirt a lot. Yeah. I still like flannel, if you can find the right kind, but out here, no need for it. This was quality flannel I wore, it wasn't like thin polyester, it was a cotton, I like flannel. You go out in the woods, it was a good casual wear. And the other thing was denim shirts. I used to wear, it's like a light blue denim shirt, you got 2 pockets on there, short sleeve or long sleeve. And it was like a light blue denim shirt. It went really well with the jeans. I wore jeans all the time. Jeans is what everybody wore. Me growing up, and people still do. They wear jeans. Now, some people say, oh, now that the cargo shorts are obsolete. Oh, no, they're not. I buy cargo shorts. But lately, my favorite shorts are just the kind of, you don't need a belt for it, basically. You have a string on it. It's a nice pair of light shorts. I have about 4 pairs of that. It's light and airy for the tropics, You basically got a string in there. You just tie it up, make a little bow on there. And you don't need a belt or anything. And there's no zipper or nothing. Cargo shorts are cool. I mean, I still like cargo shorts. Some people say, yeah, that's kind of obsolete or something or dated. Not really. I see a lot of people in the locals wearing cargo shorts. Because actually they come in really handy because they'll have several pockets, sometimes with Velcro and others with buttons, and you could put your phone in one. You could... Yeah! Okay. All right. And you had multiple pockets on there to put whatever you want in there, I still wear them. I still have them. Absolutely. I'll wear them all the time. But what I like wearing is denim shorts. But, unfortunately, the weather out here, and, and another thing I'm going to get into with the denim, which makes me scratch my head. A lot of locals that wear a lot of long leg, denim pants in the heat. And, tight fitting is the style now. Form fitting, which I've always liked. If you got a body to wear it, okay, put it that way. But the denim shorts, which I have plenty of them, they're like cargo shorts, denim. I love them. But out here, limited. If it's a really hot day, I'm not going to wear denim shorts. I still wear jeans, always with my flannel shirts. Well, I don't wear no flannels, no heavy flannels out here. I still like them. Oh, I've always had flannel shirts, teenage years and onward. And living in the Northwest, I mean, that was stylish out there too. After all, Lumberjackville, the Pacific Northwest, still popular. A lot of people in the countryside will wear that. They'll still do. And I don't know what other style that was really weird that didn't last. There was a lot of styles that just kind of phased out real quick. The Nehru shirts or jacket, the polka dot one during the mod era. You're very influenced as a teenager and younger, and you're going to want to dress in school to look alike. But I can't say I was the best dresser in high school or junior high. I mean, how are you supposed to dress? You were a teenager. You wore jeans, man. T-shirt, same damn thing they do now. You wore jeans. But during the 70s, I did wear a lot of the, well, I used to, boots. I don't know what they call them, dingo boots, Dingo. And they were real leather. They had a nice size heel. And, they were comfortable. Not always particularly in the summertime, but, it's the kind of boots, you put your jeans over it. Sometimes you say, what's the purpose of wearing tall leather boots? If you're just going to take your jeans and cover it. That's what I used to do. I never tucked in my jeans inside my boot. Then it makes you say to yourself, well, why am I wearing the boots in the first place? And some people might feel uncomfortable in boots, but I never felt uncomfortable with them. Maybe they went under different names, but they basically referred to as dingo boots or something, Dingo. Oh, God, yeah, I had the black leather jacket. That's for damn sure. When I left Hawaii, I had my black leather jacket in Hawaii, made by Wilson Leather. Oh, yeah, that was my partying jacket. I wore that all the time. Not in Hawaii, but when I was leaving Hawaii, I had a garage sale or whatever, and I sold my leather jacket. And I made some good money on it. I was surprised. Because this was some really quality leather. And that jacket saw a lot of partying. I was a big partier, but that jacket was, when I went out to the clubs and all that shit, yeah, I would definitely wear my black leather jacket. I had a brown one I didn't like, but my black leather jacket, and if you ever heard of Wilson Leather, they were very popular. It's a big leather company, some quality leather. And I had that all these years. I kept it like with plastic on it, draped over it in the closet, and every now and then I'd clean it off. I just saw I didn't need it in Hawaii, obviously, and I wasn't going to take it with me to the Philippines. So, I sold it because somebody bought it off me, doesn't always live in Hawaii, and has property in Montana where it gets cold in the winter. And oh no, that was my all-time favorite, my leather jacket. Oh, hell yeah. If jackets could have a memory and talk, boy, my jackets would be speaking a hell of a lot. Fry boots. Okay, thank you. Fry boots. Thank you for remembering that. That was another name for it, fry boots. Now, was that a company manufactured name? Is that how you describe the boots? Because I also had it referred to as dingo boots or something, Oh, yeah, I wore those for years. I hardly wore, I wore regular sneakers. Everybody calls them sneakers. But as time got by, they got technical and they became, running shoes or walking shoes or whatever. Everything became very, athletic shoes. I grew up, we called them sneakers. And people still do, I guess. I call them sneakers. Sneakers. That's the company name. Okay, yeah, I've had Fry. That's what it was. Okay. Oh, hell yeah, and they lasted a long time. You take care of them. Oh, I love them. They went really well with the jeans, and that was the look. So my attire in high school wasn't really that varied, Of course, I wasn't going to wear the same shirt every day or anything like that, or the same jacket. No, I didn't. Oh, very popular, man. Fuck yeah. Every hippie or whatever wore these things too. It was really, I don't know, was I a hippie in high school? Not essentially, no. I mean, yes and no. I mean, I was an anti-war person myself, not that I went into a bunch of rallies or anything like that, but I had the long hair, everything that went along with it, the fry boots, the long hair, the jeans, and my outlook on life was basically as, I guess you'd call a hippie. But I wasn't a pothead, and I didn't engage in drugs, and, I was into all the music of the time, all the major bands in the 70s and all that stuff. I related with all of them, Oh, definitely. But no, I wasn't a card-carrying hippie. I wasn't that. I didn't even have. I was just original. That's all I could tell you. I didn't. I had nothing to do with the eggheads in school, the big scholars. You know, I didn't attend any kind of. I don't know. I didn't really join anything in high school. And the only thing I joined in high school, briefly though, was cross country running, and my feet just gave out on that. My ligaments went, and I didn't have the legs for cross country running. I mean, longer legs. Well, endurance. I had some endurance, but no, the ligaments of my feet, they were hurting like hell. And the coach, he used to be in the army. He's a bald-headed guy. Forgot his name. Come on, Battaglia. You got to work it out. I said, man, I can't. My muscles in my feet are just it's hurting like hell. They're in pain. Now you got to work it out. I said, fuck that. That's when I quit. I said, because I couldn't even get to the point of walking. He's going to tell me, I got ligaments going crazy in my feet. I'm going to go run on that. I said, you're out of your monkey ass mind. John Johnson. Oh, Mr. Troll here. No, I never had a draft card to burn. Sorry to disappoint you. I was never drafted. Nobody was like Popeye's always saying I dodged the draft. I wasn't drafted. And besides, I was in college at the time and I had a bad ear and they wouldn't have taken me in there anyway. So now the next question, what would you have done if you were going to be drafted? Well, that's a good question because if you don't have money, you could say you're going to go to Canada or something. But what are you going to do, join a commune or something? Because how are you going to live unless you had a job? And there's a lot of people that did go to Canada, but I'll tell you what, I probably would have, because there was no fucking way in the world I was going to get involved with a war. We had nothing. We shouldn't have been there, period. I don't want to have to get into this shit again, but, so no, Popeye, I was never drafted. I'm not a draft dodger. I was never a draft dodger. But those are Popeye's words. You had to register, but no, I was never inducted into the Army or anything like that. There was some paperwork that came in or something in there. I don't remember exact details, but medically, because my bad ear, they wouldn't have took me in anyway. And I was also in college, and they didn't take a lot of people that were in college. If you were in college at the time, you probably got away with this. And I was the youngest of the family, and I had a bad ear. So I was not a candidate to be drafted anyway. Of course, Popeye's saying, oh, yeah, there's a draft dodger, Mr. Rah-Rah waving the American flags and all that shit. And let me tell you something. I loved America, but I didn't want anybody to force me to do something. For example, the Pledge of Allegiance in elementary school and all that, they always made you put your hand on your heart. And this Pledge of Allegiance stuff and under God and all this stuff. And I was not religious, even I might have, was technically Catholic, so I did all that baptismal, communion, confirmation, and all that. But the one thing I did not like, and even my own daughter, she's in school, she, under God and all this stuff, I mean, don't brainwash me and make me forced to say something I don't believe in. I'm simply not religious. It's not a sin, if you want to believe in a godly sin, organized religion was never a thing with me all my life. It's the parents that made you go through this religious instruction. Then you had to do your communion, your confirmation. You started off with a baptismal. I never asked for that shit. I have somewhere, I don't know where, a picture of me walking out of the church with a little suit on, and like a flower type thing, corsage, whatever on my jacket. And I remember those days. There's nothing that wrong with my memory. Yeah, being forced into Vietnam fiasco. Yeah, it was a total waste, and we lost that war. We lost it. Imagine that, the powerful country of the United States lost in Vietnam. And one of the reasons because these guys were excellent in hiding and camouflaging, and they're snipers. And they were pretty small. They'd hide in trees, and he didn't have a chance. That's why the government came in with the Agent Orange. That was the reason for that. Because there were so many snipers, and believe me, I know people that were in Vietnam, and I know a guy he's dead now. He was he was a corporal. He was in a high position, and I don't know how many terms he served. I even read his book, so I know a lot about the Vietnam War coming from somebody who's actually served and seen action. I could talk intelligently about it without being there. I know the horrible things that went on both sides, beheading people, hanging them over a fire and all that. And Americans did it, and the Allies did it to the enemy out there. It was horrible shit. This guy I know, I mean, it got to the point you got so desensitized with blood, you shot at anything that moved. And he had pictures, I didn't want to look at it, where he was walking and he had two heads, one in each hand. Nice, huh? Nice. No, I was not going to get involved with that shit. No, absolutely not. Next step is Vietnam. 1, 2, 3. What are we fighting for? I don't give a damn. Next stop is Vietnam. Ironically, there is a Dunkin' Donuts in Saigon airport. Well, that doesn't surprise me. You know, you got these rah-rah people like Popeye, because he had some very minimal position in the Navy. He never saw action, nothing like that, but he talks about it like he some kind of a fucking war hero or something, you know. I can imagine his little mobility bike has a bunch of flags on the handlebars, probably playing some kind of a naval theme or something when he goes down the street. God, that would be an excellent video caricature that I would love to see. And don't get me wrong, I was born in America, I'm proud that I did, but it's unfortunate to say to this day that the United States is not the place it used to be anymore. It doesn't even resemble when I grew up. Don't even resemble. No resemblance at all. It's a shame what happened to the United States. Everybody is so divided. Politically, socially, you name it. Racism is still through the roof. Prejudice is still through the roof. And what really divided people was political parties. It was always my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, that, I mean, the way I feel is that you shouldn't have a Republican Party, you shouldn't have a Democratic Party. They're supposed to be working together, but it got to a point, most of these happened is really in the past decade got its worse, and certainly under Trump. And it divided people. Here you got a president that was so obtuse, he was so abusive, and he's just a regular bully. He was a poor example to children. He like encouraged being a bully. And he was responsible for the debts and everything else on the Capitol. He organized that, or he influenced them very heavily. He sure as hell fucking did, and he denies that. But what killed America, a lot of things did, but what killed America in the United States is the political division. See, the government, they're supposed to be working together for the people. I think they should get rid of having separate parties. I mean, look at the line. You got your liberals, you got your independents, you got Democrats, you got Republicans. We're supposed to be working for one purpose for each other, for the best of the nation. But when you have divided parties like that, and it started to get especially under Trump's administration, it fell apart, man. People were so divided in the United States. And Popeye, Mr. Rah-Rah everything, he won't admit to that, but that's the truth. People became really divided because of politics. Never in history was it this bad. Ever. And, generally people in the streets or neighbors or anything, they found out you were voting or represented a party that they were not affiliated or associated with, they'd make judgment on you. It's just like in religion. People like Popeye, of course, I'm using him as a good example because he's part of the problem, not the solution. You see, Frank ain't even religious. This is what I mean about religious people. If you're not religious, I mean, you're not supposed to have that freedom of choice. If you're not religious, you're not one of us. Again, separatism, here we go again. Dividing, separatism, They have the right to be religious. I have the right to be non-religious. But religious people don't see it that way. You're the enemy if you're not religious. Or you're a terrible person if you don't believe in God and all that. I have the equal right of making my choice. But this is the bad thing with a lot of religious people. They're the biggest hypocrites on the planet. Proven over and over and over again. Certainly in my lifetime, I experienced a lot of pushy religious people. Have you heard the word? Or people coming to your door. Get the fuck out of here. Don't force your religion and beliefs on anybody else. Never force your beliefs. That's the way it is with people with religion. I have nothing against anybody's religion. I have nothing against. I don't care if you're Muslim, you're Catholic, you're Protestant. I don't care what you are. You're into Buddhism, whatever you're into. That's fine with me. It's nice to have that freedom of choice. Like even fucking dumbass Barry. He don't even believe in God. Well, what have you done to impress God, Barry? I could get into that. So I'm a bad person because I don't believe there's a God. You know what my belief is? I believe that going back in time, if you want to go back to the historical Egyptian period, Mayan period, there was an intelligent life on Earth. We had no knowledge. We were dumb shits as humans. We were dumb shits. So when some kind of advanced technology came around, AKA, other intelligent life from not perhaps terrestrial, but perhaps extraterrestrial, it's so fucking obvious that happened. Because they had technology that disappeared on the Earth. They had technology that we can't equal today. And it took us how many hundreds and hundreds of years and stuff to develop certain technology when they had it thousands of years ago. Where did that come from? Where did it come from? Naysayers will say, these are people that don't have an open mind about anything. They can't think out of the box. Well, my parents were religious, so I'm going to believe everything they said because my parents must be right. There has to be a God. I believe there were supreme beings. Okay? Anunnaki. There's a number of extraordinary intelligent life other than just what we consider intelligent life on this planet. How could you be so arrogant to think that with all the galaxies around there's millions, billions, that we're the only planet that's going to have life on it? That's arrogance. That's absolute arrogance. It is believed that we are basically hybrids because there was genetic re-engineering that went on during the development of man when he still wasn't walking upright. The Illuminati, Anunnaki, they were actually using early man to do things like mining and laborious things on this planet in seeking different types of minerals and elements. Now, they weren't built for that. They were bent over, their arms are too long. And you got to understand about how it works over millions of years, how things go through changes. It takes millions of years. So basically, evolution, it's called evolution. It takes millions of years, but the strange thing was, I forgot, what was the last species of man before they, my brain here, before they walked upright? There was some genetic re-engineering that went on. And within a relatively short period of time, early man was now walking upright, shorter arms. They were able to work and perform tasks a lot easier. Now, keep in mind, just to validate what I'm saying, is that evolution could take millions of years for a species to change. And as far as scientists and so forth were able to put together, it was that from fossils and stuff like that, that was an extraordinary short period of time that early man could have been able to walk upright, have shorter arms, and all these features. Miraculously, it did not take millions of years for that to happen. I don't know how long it took, but it was a relatively short period of time. So there had to be some genetic re-engineering going on there. There had to be. Okay. Barry, the walking and talking contradiction. Prays every day for God for violence against you. Yeah, that's a really religious guy. Because think about this. And I could talk about this. I have a very religious woman sitting next to me right now, you know. I respect her beliefs. She understands mine. Supposedly, you know, like Barry, you're right. Barry melts off about God and you're a bad person if you don't believe in it. And I'm not a godly, I'm not this and not that. But what does he do? For a godly guy who's quoting Bible verses out of desperation, you know, he mouthing off about religion and that I'm a terrible person if I am not a religious person. Well, when did he ever practice what he preached? He doesn't practice what he preaches. Not at all. He says some horrible things, calls people horrible names, does horrible things. Well, I was always under the understanding that if you're a godly person, you do godly things. You do nice things for people, you treat people well, you don't, cheat on your neighbor, or cheat on your wife, beat up your wife, you don't do things like that. How could you be godly? How could you believe in God if you're not going to adhere to what all these religious teachings are? To be a good person, to live a good life, to not do harm to others and stuff. He is so far from godly. He can relate more with Satan than God. Okay? He's just a horrible person altogether. And he's preaching God's word and all this stuff. What a disaster that is. But you got a lot of people like that. Popeye's another one. He'll make judgment on you if you're not religious. I don't care what people believe for. It doesn't have to be mine. I've got that choice. Yeah, he prays, all right, yeah. 100% pretender for his girlfriend, yeah. Oh well, we want to get into that. It's a new year. Don't give him the satisfaction. But it's just as example, people like that. That, they're the biggest hypocrites I've ever experienced. Did he say there's billions of people on this earth, and there's actually billions of people that are very religious. And that's their choice. To me, it's fucking brainwashing is what it is. That starts from early childhood. It's fucking brainwashing. You don't know that there's a God because your parents and their predecessors told you so. There's a God. So there's a guy in the sky and he knows everything you're doing. Everything. With billions of people, he knows everything they're doing every day. Come on. Think of the insanity of that. And when a child dies, God had another plan for him. He's in a better place now. Or if a child is healed in the hospital from cancer or something, God was looking after him. Well, how about getting some credits to the doctors and medicine? Then there's religious people that get really pissed off and say, why did my baby die? Well, no, actually they believe that, their God is going to protect their children. Well, why is this God making kids suffer with cancer and die from getting smashed from a truck in the street, or allow them to get beaten up by a horrible parent? Or where was he when all this was going on? You got to listen to old George Carlin stuff. And there's a lot of people that, talk about some really interesting things, and they put it into comedy. But they're telling some, really insight into all this stuff, There's a lot of good insight into that. Imagine billions of people running around with this religious belief that there's some greater being out there. Well, the greater being started off when we had intelligent life that was either terrestrial, and everybody thinks it's extraterrestrial. Right here on the planet, terrestrial, meaning they're right here. They're right here on the planet the whole time. Whether they're still here now, that's a different thing. They probably gave up on this planet, said, fuck it. Maybe we're still under investigation. But there's no way in the world there could have been that kind of technology back, thousands of years ago. Shit, you go into a pyramid and see the glyphics in there. I call them glyphics for short. Jesus Christ, they had symbols that was like a light bulb with a filament in there. Now, if you ever, I'm sure none of you ever got to go like a scientist and explored the, inside the pyramids, but there were passageways. And here's, if you don't believe me, this is going to be good proof of the technology. There were passageways, and in there you'd see all the glyphics on the walls. Now, there was no electricity at that time. Keep that in mind. There was no electricity. And there was no carbon imprint on the walls or ceiling of these passageways. So how the hell did they go there and do all these glyphics on the walls without light? You couldn't bring a torch in there. For several reasons. The carbon dioxide or whatever producing from that would kill you. Lack of air in there. And there was no light. How did they do it? Come on, brainchilds. How did they do it? No carbon imprint. They had a way of illuminating these passageways that they make in order to do these, glyphics. They had a way of doing that. Anybody have a better explanation than I do? Please speak up. Make a forum out of this. And people don't want to challenge me on that. But forbid, there might be a day here in a minute, but forbid that you choose not to be a religious person. You are persecuted. Just like throughout history, they persecuted each other. If you weren't the religion they were, you had to be my religion or you're going to die. They'd have battle with people who come from different religious beliefs. Religious wars. It was throughout history. Throughout history. about history. So how dare somebody insinuate this and that about me because I don't believe in any organized religion. I'm spiritual, but that doesn't mean religious. I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. I was forced into that when I was a kid. That's what an Italian American kid and other kids do, Irish or whatever. They were all forced into religion because their parents believed there was a God and this and that. There was a God, not what we know it as, though. And the pronunciation of, anyway, the name God, it could have been something else. It could have been dog. Maybe dogs were gods. But did you ever consider, do you have an open mind to believe that perhaps, just perhaps, what people know of as a, quote, God was really an intelligent beings that came here? It is even in the Bible, it speaks of things like this. A fiery chariot of some sort came down from the sky. I know a little about this stuff. I had to read this stuff, and I'm not no theologist, but they saw things where the technology was so incredible that they seen you as extraordinary being with all these powers that people didn't have the intellect at the time and the technology to even understand new technology. Flying machines, ships that flew in the sky, that had a fire trail, different things that scientifically that these higher beings were able to perform. You can imagine that it astounded the people. And where the name God came in, maybe there was a being that maybe the pronunciation was not even right. Henceforth, the name God came. It could have been Guad. Could have been anything. Could have been dog. But where the name God came in, I don't know. As I said, I'm no theology, whatever you want to call it, expert. I don't pretend to be, but this is where I feel, and I should have the right and not feel like I'm a third-class person. Just like people classify if you smoke, you're third class or something. Everybody puts that, and that is the biggest problem I think we have in the world. That everybody's put into a class system. They divide people, Democrat, Republican, religious, non-religious, atheist. Everybody has a way of dividing, and that's why there's so many wars. My God, there's so, excuse the expression, my God. That's why there's so many wars. You're going to eat your meal. That's good stuff. I got to throw mine away. You got to eat a breakfast now. You got to eat a breakfast. No, you need to put your phone down and eat your breakfast. Come on. Be a good girl. Phones. That destroyed our country. The thing I'm on right now, the thing you're listening on, it divides people from socializing. It really does. You don't have to believe in my philosophy, but you also have to have an open mind to believe anything. And as I said, I'm not going to persecute. I'll use that word. I'm not going to persecute anyone that's religious. I'm just saying that even religious people have to have an open mind, but they don't. It's either my belief or none. My way or the highway in regards to religion. Shit, I used to date this one woman named Carrie. Short gal, cute. Comes from upstate New York. And, she was telling me she speaks in tongues and all this crap. That's God speaking through me. I mean, that gets a little bit absurd, I'm sorry, but speaking in tongues? Tongues? I say, what the hell is that? Speaking in tongue. What are you fucking high on, And then I just couldn't relate to that thing. She was the type, and the reason I didn't stay with her, she'd invite me over. It wasn't even much of a relationship started, but besides the chick having a double hymen, and she's never been had sex before. I'm not kidding. A double hymen. Imagine that. But that's not a value in the story here, but I thought I'd mention that too. Yeah, she wanted me to come over to one of the little kumbaya shit, out in the woods, the campfire, and, the guitar and singing kumbaya. Oh, gag me with a fucking spoon. Gag me with a fucking spoon. I just couldn't do that. That wasn't for me. I sent her on her way. In good terms, though. She knew we were both different on that. Actually developing feelings for her, vice versa, but we were just so different in our beliefs, and that separated us. And that's a great example. So much separatism and division that's going on in the world. We're always going to have wars. That's why an intelligent being, whether it's actually terrestrial or extraterrestrial, is going to look at us saying that we are some violent species, that there's no hope for this fucking planet. People are killing each other off, even creating viral and bacterial diseases to kill other people and enemies. They're blowing up buildings. Terrorists. A lot of it has to do with religious background. They think that they're going to be with Allah or somebody if they blow up a building or some shit like that. And it's not just foreign terrorism. There's a lot of domestic terrorism. And we're not going to pinpoint just one group. There are bad apples in every division of life on this earth, no matter what religion you're at. But a lot of it is blamed on terrorists being, I don't know, from the Mideast or whatever, and based on their religion. You can't label, for example, a Muslim to be, oh, you're a Muslim, so you must be terrorist. You can't do that, but people do that. I think Muslims are good people as anybody else is. But because historically there's been incidents involving Muslims, they want to label that group. Look what Barry said. You're forgetting what Barry said. Have a good memory. Do you remember during the time he was in, that's when he was really outspoken. And he was in, let me see where Cliff was living. That was over in Moalboal. I distinctly remember him saying that these Muslims and their children should be all killed and shot. I will not sit here and lie to you. I've heard him talk that numerous times. Just because somebody is a Muslim, he's labeling these people as being, and towel heads and everything else he'd call them, as being terrorists. That they have no reason to live. I think they should all be killed, and the children too. He said that. I'm telling you publicly here that he said that. I heard it. And if you ever listen to his shows, then you'll know what I'm talking about. He still, in more contemporary times, still makes remarks of that sort. He still does. Just the kind of person he is. Judge people on an individual basis, not as a group. As I said, you could be religious, you could believe in everything you want, but you can't force me to have your beliefs, nor can I force anybody else to have my disbeliefs or my own personal beliefs. And that is the biggest problem we have going all out the world. It's not just United States, it's worldwide. We got religious groups of people that adhere to their particular values of their religion and their thoughts and teachings and so forth, and they live their life according to their religious beliefs. A lot of these countries, they are solid. Their whole life is based on their religious beliefs. And there's lots of groups of people in different countries that pray 12 times a day. Okay? That's how religious they are. Now, just to make something clear, there's nothing wrong with that. They're doing what they were grown up and taught to do or believe. And that's okay. Because even they have their own choices. They don't have to believe in what their parents taught them. They don't. Unfortunately, there's some places that you'd be an outcast. Even in the United States, you'd be an outcast if you don't share somebody's belief. In America, even little things, you have to be a card-carrying fucking Starbucks, patron. I've experienced groups of people in Seattle that were like that, all the yuppies. Had to be a card-carrying Starbucks, literally a card. You had to carry around a Starbucks stainless steel coffee container. And you didn't just drink a bottle of water. It had to be like Evian. I've experienced all that. Seattle was so, I don't know if you want to call it liberal, but it was mind-boggling. You had to fit in a group. They judge you by your income. They judge you by, your lifestyle. They judge you whether you're a card-carrying Starbucks person, judged you by your profession, and you were outcast. You were outcast. If you didn't have their beliefs, if you didn't bike around Green Lake in Seattle, and other places, got to feel full biker's uniform with the spandex and the helmets and everything to match, and your Evian water bottle on the frame of the bike, and everybody's competing with each other. I'm a biker. I'm a bicyclist. I got to wear the fancy helmet and all the doodads they have to wear, the attire. They were part of a group with their own beliefs. You got to belong to something. People feel that they have to belong to something. How about belonging to yourself? How about belonging to yourself? Now, I'm kind of wondering why people are not honing in on this. You're afraid of the discussion, but I'm not afraid to talk about it. That's the difference between me and a lot of people. I'm not afraid to talk about it. Because perhaps most of you people are religious. And as I said, I'm not downing you because you're religious. Absolutely not. My girlfriend's religious. I don't go, get down and ugly on her because she believes that she's a good Catholic and everything else. She knows I'm not religious, but she doesn't judge me for that. Because she's real. I don't interfere with her religious beliefs. We even have, ornamental statues in here, Santo Nino in the house. I don't tell her to take it down because I don't believe in what she believes in. I don't do that. I don't do that. Hello, dear. What you doing? I like going in the exercise room. So don't misunderstand me. There are billions of people dead throughout history because of religious wars. Because one side didn't believe in the values and morals and beliefs that the other side had. And innocent people have died for that. There was even a time they didn't understand, for example, mental retardation. You were burned at the stake being a witch, to be a witch or something. Just because you were different. People make judgment on people all the time. Right here on YouTube, it's done every fucking day. People make judgment on there because they heard somebody say something about somebody else and they took it to value. They took it to heart that was so. Well, that never happens on here. I've been a victim of that ever since I've been on fucking YouTube. Ever since. Listen to some asshole, you become an asshole, and you act like an asshole. And then you have to pay the price for it later on, as some people know very well, particularly one person, who's paying the price for being an asshole right now as I speak. Honor your own beliefs, whether it's religion, moral practices, whatever. I'm not standing in anybody's way. I will never do that. But all I ask, and you just don't get that, people to respect my beliefs or disbeliefs. But it doesn't work that way. You're not part of the club. You're not part of the club. There are people that actually shun each other because of the fact that they are either different religions or one of them is religious and one of them is not. That's no reason to shun your fellow man because they have different beliefs than the other person does. Hello, dear.
Hello.
Yeah. You feeling better today?
Yeah.
Good, good. So just kind of, folks, to make this clear, I have no problem, whatever your beliefs are. You just don't force your beliefs on me. Whether it's religion or the fact I didn't serve in the military, either voluntarily or involuntarily, you don't make a judgment on me for that. Respect my beliefs. It's an equal thing. You meet each other halfway. You don't have to be like the guy next door. I've never been the cattle of society, and I will die also not being, to that day, the cattle of society. I don't follow what everybody else does. I don't believe in what everybody else does. It has to become my belief or practice. I have rights too, and people don't understand that, especially the religious community. I'm not a third-class citizen because I don't have any religious beliefs. I got to explore what Catholicism was. Communion, catechism, communion, confirmation, starting with baptism, religious instruction classes I was forced to go to. I heard it all. I've also heard the stories, and I know people personally that got abused by nuns. Nuns and priests were so freaking frustrated that they had to take a vow of being celibate. Man, that'll take a toll on you. That's why you hear about all these priests going after young boys and girls. Priests. Then the Vatican covers it up. They'll pay a lot of money to the family. Do you know how many cases of that have been covered up? There's been a lot that's been made public. But then the families were paid off. But money takes care of everything, right? Something horrible happened between your child and some nun or priest. But they want to sweep it under the rug. And the Vatican they were right on it. Just offer the people money. And money solves all problems, right? It cures all. Something terrible was done to your child by a priest or something, and it's an embarrassment. And they didn't think it was proper. And it was horrible. Especially for a religious figure to do that to your child. But money solved all problems, didn't it? Money solved all problems. Just pay him off some money to shut up, and it was all good for the Vatican and a religious community. This is what I'm talking about. So you can believe whatever you want to believe, and you want to be a war hero, go out there and kill people. Now, let me elaborate on this a little bit more. Say you're a U.S. citizen, born and raised. An invading army comes into your territory, comes on land, no push buttons at the time, whatever, just, that's another story with push button technology in war. Somebody comes into your land, just like how you might talk about the World Trade Center. That's never happened like that. Okay, they say it was terrorists. We don't even know if the U.S. government was involved in it. There's a lot of people speculate they did, just to make a point, to have further problems with the Mideast. But I don't want to elaborate on that because I have to be on there for 2 hours for that one. When somebody invades your home territory, if some enemy is going to be a threat to you and your family's life, all right, I can understand. If you're going to have people from another country come into this country with ill intent to blow up everything around you, kill innocent people, yeah, you got to fight back on that. It's your country. It's also your own life and your family's life. It's called protecting yourself. It's called standing together and protecting your values in life, your family, your livelihood. Sure, I can see that. But to go fight a war that we had nothing or no reason to fight, like Vietnam and other skirmishes throughout history, the United States, who puts their nose into every other country's business. No wonder the United States is hated by so many countries. And they are. Look, you may not like another country because perhaps it's a communist country, but it's not your country. It's not your country. Their government is totally separated from our government. If they want to teach communism, socialism, whatever it might be, let their government, put out this shit to their own people. Let them govern themselves, not with interference from another country, unless they are a threat, an imminent threat to our country that's different. But the United States wants everybody to be, they practice democracy and all that stuff. Some countries don't. They're communist countries. China communist. There's still communist countries out there. Russian. And some people don't believe in socialism. Well, socialism could be beneficial. I've talked about it before. But what's wrong with being a socialist country? Oh, it's like another thing. If you don't believe in God, it's the same thing. If you're an American and you believe in a certain aspect of socialism, would work very well. Medical care and stuff like that. There's a list, a laundry list of stuff. But they look at you like you're a goddamn communist if you believe that there are certain elements of socialism that could actually work. Boy, you guys being real quiet on this topic, aren't you? Oh, I see. You want no involvement with this. Yeah, that's what I mean. You're part of the cattle, man. Exactly what I preach all the time on my shows. You're part of the cattle, and chances are you are very religious. And I said there's nothing wrong with that. And quote me on this. There's nothing wrong with having your own beliefs. We should have our own beliefs. Nobody should interfere with it. I'm just telling you how I feel. And how I feel is not like how everybody feels, but there's a lot of people that think and feel the way I do. That I, too, have the right to have my own damn beliefs without interference from somebody else and making me look like I'm the lower class. Man, if you don't believe in God, what's wrong with you? You're not a God-fearing person. There we go, God-fearing. Why should I honor something that I gotta fear? It's lunacy. I fear God because I'm afraid what God's going to do to me. He's going to send me to a fiery hell or make my life horrible. You mean it's kind of like a Hitler thing? You think the army really loved Hitler? You think the German people really loved Hitler? They were afraid of him. You did something against his regime or something, you're going to die, motherfucker. North Korea, it's the same damn thing. You go against the leader in North Korea, you're going to die. People are scared shit of these leaders, whether they're military or religious leaders or political leaders. People are scared shit in a lot of these countries to talk anything against the government at all. They're in fear. So why do you want to worship an entity or something that you have to fear? And I always laugh and I always hear this, I'm a God-fearing person. You know what I would say? Why do you fear God? Why do you worship him if you fear him? Do you really want to worship something that you fear? It don't make any sense to me, folks. That's how I think. That's how I will continue to think, and nobody's going to change me. I'm not part of the cattle of society like most of you are. Sorry. And I'm not a bad person because I'm not religious. I have my rights, and I have my freedom too, to believe in what I want to believe in. Nobody can take that away from me, and nobody should try to take that away from me. The same way as I'm not trying to take that away from anybody who's religious, mildly or greatly religious. I'm not going to take that away from them, and I can't if I wanted to. I believe that everybody has the right to believe in what they want to believe. If you want to be a kinky person, you could be kinky in the bed. You have that right to do it if your partner don't mind you being a kinkapod. All right? Now, you don't want to hurt somebody in a relationship, but if you beat somebody up in a relationship, then you're a piece of shit. If you put control over your partner, girlfriend, wife, and say that you got to do what I got to say to do, that ain't right either. Both parties have a choice of speech, action, and what they want to do. And to put a woman in fear, because generally men are structurally built different than women, and generally we see men as being a stronger part of the two. And to take advantage of a woman mentally, morally, physically, that's wrong. And any scumbag, if you happen to know any out there, that does that and has that way of looking at women, like I could say to them what I want, they got to do what I want, just suck my dick and get it over with, that's all you're good for type of attitude. Those are fucking sick people. And we know a few like that, don't we? That's sickness. That's absolute fucking sickness. Yeah, human rights. Well, we do have rights. But I find myself having to correct somebody all the time. In regards to this freedom of speech thing. Freedom of speech. We do. We do have freedom of speech. It's also according to the country you're living in, too. Might be a little different than America. But in America, you could basically call a cop a pig or whatever you want to do. And legally, they can't do anything to you. Although they'll turn around and they'll cite you for some kind of citation of some sort. You know how they work. But legally, you could call a cop a pig or whatever you want to do. If that's what you want to do, and that's how you see them. Some of them are pigs, but there's some good cops too. So everybody piles somebody in a category. But if you've been leading a shitty criminal life, of course you're not going to like cops. What do you do when something happens in your house, emergency or a burglary or something? You're going to get on the phone and you're going to call a police officer, aren't you? And maybe you're the same person that think cops are pigs. Well, maybe you look at them as pigs because you're a criminal. You don't like the law because maybe you've got arrested. Maybe you got arrested, so you don't like the cops because they arrested you, they fined you, they jailed you. So you don't like the cops, so you call them pigs. They're not pigs. Some of them are, yeah. Some of them are real pigs, in reality. They'll arrest you for no reason at all, or they'll find fault with you with something where they just want to get even with you because they weren't able to arrest you before. They couldn't find charges on you, so they maybe planted something on you. There's a lot of shit like that. The big laundry list of things you can go through with what we call pigs as cops. They're not all pigs. There are good police officers out there in every country. There are good police officers. And when you need one, you're glad that they're there. I mean, you are happy to have them there. Because who else are you going to call? Ghostbusters? You got to be able to call somebody for help. You have to be able to do that. And you're really grateful when you make that call. Somebody's breaking into your house, they're going to kill you or something. Who are you going to call? You're going to depend on your neighbors? Good luck with that. Most people don't want to get involved in anything, even if they're a good neighbor and friend. I don't want to get involved with that, man. Oh, I'm out of this shit. Now, this whole broadcast, if you listen carefully to what I had to say, it makes sense. Everything I said on this show Makes total fucking sense. But if you're part of the cattle of society, you're going to reject what I say. When you know I'm right on everything I just talked about. As you can hear, I don't have any objectivity to people who are very religious. Be religious, but don't be a hypocrite. That's what I say. I have no problem with what you believe in. But don't down me because I don't have your beliefs. Sorry, but that's wrong. That's wrong. I don't know, my parents were religious, but I rarely ever seen them going to church. But you see, you don't need a church. Your house is your church. If you have a belief, your body is your church. You don't have to go to a religious institution to pray to God or whatever your beliefs are. You can do that right at home. Sit down and meditate. You know, say your prayers. Have a saint in front of you. Burn some candles. Have a cross. Whatever it is you want to do. You could do that right at home. And a lot of people do. But it's more of a social thing. How you look in the community. But people going to church. They say it's the house of God. Your house is the house of God too. You don't need a religious structure to believe in your given religion or whatever your beliefs are. You could do that right. You could do it at the beach. You could do it right here at home. Right here at home. But these days it's a very pretentious society. I got to show up in the community because I got to show my community I'm one of them. They'll know me as one of them. I came to church and I'm a believer. And you're accepted by the religious community there. Isn't that the way it is everywhere? Boy, you're really afraid to approach this topic, aren't you guys? Very interesting experiment going on right now. Not intentional, but it's a very interesting experiment. Learn to think out of the box. Whether it's religion, whether it's terrestrials or extraterrestrials, how we got here, how we got on this planet, what created life, who created life, what if, whether it was divine or whether it was molecular, biological, we got here somehow. And if your belief is that, well, you know, some religious entity or something created us, when basically we crawled out of the sea is what we did. And we evolved. We evolved. Now, a lot of you don't have a scientific mind. Well, I can't stop you from having doing your own personal research into what life is all about, how you got here. People just make the assumption, well, you know, I got here because somebody created me. Well, something did create you. Something did, you know. Started off as a small single cell protozoa or something, whatever you want to. Mitosis happened. These cells divided and they became a structure. They formed to be a functional structure that developed over time and evolved into various creatures from dinosaurs to what we know as people, humans today. There was an evolution that went on, whether it started off as a microbe or whatever, or some supreme being that created us, whatever you want to believe in. And that's okay with me, but you got to have an open mind. You got to have an open mind. Why limit yourself when there's so much out there to learn? So you go through life not wondering how the hell you got here. You walk down the street, some people don't even look at a tree and see the wonder of a tree. How it started as a simple seed. And the beautiful flowers you look at and everything started somehow. You don't see the beauty in that. You're just thinking of when you're going to get laid, get your next drink, or when you're going to do your next fucking YouTube show to slam somebody. It's really horrible to go through life that way. And Barry's a perfect example of this. Don't really want to get his name in after the New Year's, but he's a perfect example of a creep. He's a creep. Pretends to be so godly, but what has he been doing all his life? Can you think of any godly things that that guy has done? And understand the word godly. The definition of godly is basically somebody who believes in the positive things in life, who believes by the preachings of somebody that you don't do this, you don't do that, and it keeps you on the straight and on the narrow. And I'm all for religious people if they could stay on the straight and narrow and stop being such gosh damn hypocrites. I have a right to my beliefs. I have a right to what I'm saying on my show today. I've talked about this before. But I am not, underline it, I am not going to push my beliefs or disbeliefs on anybody. I'll talk about stuff on here. I deal mostly with the scientific method to believe something exists, how it got there, why it's there, why it's existing, and how to prolong the life of this existing being or cellular structure. We're here on this earth because your mother and father decided to get together and do the nasty. And henceforth you were created whether you like it or not. And you have to face this world for 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years. Okay? But you got to remain individualistic, or else what's the purpose? That you got to believe in everything that everybody else believes and be part of that famous word, cattle of society. The people I appreciate are free thinkers. I'm one of them. I'm a free thinker. Good morning, expat. You're missing a good show. But to go around preaching God's verses like Barry and other people, or people in general, doesn't have to be Barry, but he's a good example because he's in such a desperate situation. He found God. What have you done to impress God, Barry? What have you done to impress God? Nothing. Nothing. Because you're incarcerated, all of a sudden God's a big thing, quoting verses on your community page or whatever. If you were a godly person, and out of respect for people who are godly and highly religious, out of respect for them, respect, you heard the word, respect. Because there are good godly people who practice what they preach, unlike Barry and people like him. He doesn't practice what he preaches. Not one bit. He's a mean, ornery person is what he is. If there's such thing as evil, this guy is evil beyond belief. How he treats people. How he tries to get away with so much in his life, and he's been doing it all his life. Where did it lead him? Where is he right now? Where is he? He's sitting in a fucking jail cell for over 21 months and could face imprisonment because he's so fucking cocky. Because he's so fucking cocky. All he believes is, let's get even with Frank. What can I do? Get my girlfriend involved. That's a good idea. She's Filipina. Oh, we got him now. We got him now. That's how he's thinking. She's religious and godly. That's another thing. What is God thinking about her by putting in a false report on me? I don't want to get into her if I don't have to, but I'm just making a point. How could you be godly if you're lying to impress somebody else or be enforced by somebody else? Honor your own beliefs. You don't have to like me, but don't try to get me fucking deported. Now, Barry did his own thing to get deported and everything else. That's right up front. We all know everything he did. But to try to coerce somebody else to enact revenge on somebody because you don't like your position in life right now that you earned, to enact revenge upon a person that never said the things that his partner claimed I said, pulled it out of a hat. What can I do to make this guy's life miserable? Barry's not a godly person. Not even remotely. You could quote any verse in the Bible you want, but it doesn't change who you are, sir. It doesn't change one iota who you really are inside. As a person, as a being, as a man. A man has vulnerability. I've got vulnerability. I can cry. I can shed a tear. And I'm not going to feel like I'm not manly. To be a man, you have to have the ability to cry. To be a man, you have to have the ability to stand on your own 2 fucking feet and not depend on everybody for your livelihood, to beg and go on social media and beg for everything. That's not standing on your own feet. That's not being a man. How you treat people, how you expect that everybody in the world owes you something. That's not being a man. Record this, please. That's not being a man as far as I'm concerned. I don't know about anybody else out there, but those are my beliefs. And I'll adhere to my beliefs as well as everybody should adhere to their own beliefs too. They got that freedom, but it comes to a line in the sand, a famous line in the sand. When you step over that line and you do something that you shouldn't have done, but the other guy's always wrong. It's called denial. You got to live with yourself. I don't have to live with him. I don't. I don't have to live his life, and I wouldn't live his life or anybody else that's like him. But don't down me because I'm not religious. I respect everyone's religion, every single religion. I don't care what you are, Muslim, Catholic, Protestant, I don't care. Seventh-day Adventist. I don't care. I don't care. You have the right to believe in everything you want, and I respect 100% respect your rights, but respect my rights and respect my beliefs. Don't make me the down man, because I don't believe in your religion or whatever your moralities are. I don't have to. That's the beauty of it. That I have the right to have certain beliefs or non-beliefs. But I'm not a second-class, third-class citizen because I don't adhere to your values. That's never going to happen. We'll never allow that to happen. Too many cattle in this world. Too many cattle creates too much methane gas, which is going to kill our planet. And too many cattle, as people cattle, are what's destroying this planet. When you want to adhere to some beliefs that you don't follow, you don't practice, all the religious people who are preaching God and amen and all this stuff, that's fine. If you practice properly what you believe, I have no problem with it. But when you deviate from your practice and you start pointing fingers at people, accusing them of something that they're not, going beyond the so-called values of your teaching as a religious person and what you've been taught from the Bible and the verses and everything else, whatever your belief, the Quran, whatever you call that, the Bible of the Jews and all that. And it really, I'm not a theologist here. I don't know a lot about religion. I know enough about it to get me by, but I do know one thing. Value yourself and what you believe in. I don't have a problem with that until you make it my problem. Don't make it my problem. Don't step over that line with me. Nobody's going to take my beliefs away from me, and they never will. I applaud myself for thinking out of the box. Well, it has to do with our origin of life, and people think it's from some being of some sort. It probably is from a being, but it's probably not what you believe in. But I'm not telling you to change your values and your beliefs. I'm telling you what mine are. And you don't have to adhere to my values and beliefs. That's the wonderful thing about the world. I mean, our rights are being taken away from us left and right. But you can't take the values, the morals, and beliefs from somebody. You can't force them. They did that in Hawaii. I know the history. But the missionaries came over and they told the Hawaiians, You can no longer speak your language anymore. You're going to speak English, motherfucker. You can't walk around half naked. You got to have clothes on. That was a bummer. Excuse the expression, bummer. Tell them that you can't practice your religion, your beliefs. You have to practice ours. Become a Catholic or a Protestant or whatever. The missionaries came here and they destroyed their whole culture and beliefs. They forced them by gun to do it. Horrible. And that's happening with wars, religious wars. People are killing each other over religious beliefs. Or people just killing each other, period, over natural resources. Remember, our instinct to survival is so strong. And maybe you don't think about it. You know, we go out and buy our food at the supermarkets and stores. It's so easy. Think about the people that had to rely on the land to be self-sufficient. They had to hunt for their food. They had to grow their crops, and everything now you can get in the store. There's no effort, is there? But think about the people that had to survive that way. Then we had the nomads. They used to travel from place to place because they tried planting crops. They didn't really know how to propagate it. They made the soil useless because they didn't till in the old organic matter into the soil. It became dry, it would blow away. They couldn't. So the nomads, and having to do with animal husbandry and everything else, things developed from that. It developed. They decided to settle down. Oh, what a great idea. We could take our cattle and goats and sheep, propagate, and we could stay in one spot. We don't have to be nomads anymore. We could grow our crops right here, learn to till the soil so it didn't turn to dust. We could put nutrients in that soil, sometimes with the excretion of some of the animals in mixture. They could do that with the organic matter from the crops that they grew, that were harvested, and till it back into the soil. Et voila! You got an enriched soil. You continue to grow crops. We create a village. Socializing. Ideas were spread and shared. And people become advanced because of their sharing of ideas, whether it's culturally or otherwise. Science developed through a lot of animal husbandry and the things they learned as to creating and to sustain their lives in one place instead of being nomadic and then just destroying everywhere they went. They destroyed the soil. They didn't understand. They grew their crops until the soil became useless. They didn't understand about tilling the soil and didn't understand about reintroducing organic matter into there to keep the soil rich, to be able to grow more crops. A lot of them didn't have a clue. They didn't have to be nomadic. It reminds me of a Sam Kinison thing. Sam Kinison, the stand-up comic. And I've mentioned this before on my show, and I thought it was hilarious. I cannot deliver like he can. But it had to do with how, I guess, we were sending aid to people in, like the Mideast or somewhere, where people were living in deserts. And as you know, you can't really grow anything in the desert. It's all sand. And Kinison did a great little skit on that. While a lot of the aid that we were sending over to that region was being stolen, it wasn't even going to the people, being pirated. Sam Kinison said a very profound thing in his comedy skit. Why don't you people just go and live in another place that has fertile soil? I can't do his skit, and I can never do Sam Kinison. I can't deliver it the way he did. And he goes with hands. You see this, folks? This is sand. You can't grow anything in sand. That it's useless and wasteful that we're sending them supplies of food and aid. When the answer to this is just to get the hell out of the desert and go live in a fertile region where you can grow these food and self-sustain. So Sam Kinison, that was a original. I love that skit that he did because it made sense. Stop bitching and whining. You need food and everything else. When you're not doing anything about it, you're not trying to help yourself. And the best people could do in a desert region or an arid region where they just really can't grow any crops is go somewhere where you can grow crops. Stop bitching and whining and taking foreign aid, which we can't afford to give anyway. Americans are not even helping out their own people that much, but they're giving all this foreign aid money out. I've seen churches that weren't helping locally. They were sending money out to foreign countries to help the children, which is, it's a nice thing. It's a nice thing. There's nothing wrong with that. To have some kind of a heart to help people out in a different country. But my idea, let's start with the people in our own country first. Let's take care of our own people. And when we get in a better position, then we could gladly help out others in need in a different country. Now, some of you may look at this differently than I do, but that's okay. Let's take care of our people first. Put ourselves in a position where we can afford, instead of creating an enormous deficit in the economy and ridiculous things like giving arms to even enemies of us, because everything is capitalism in the United States. It's all capitalism. The government of the United States is giving money out to our enemies. Where do you think they're getting this stuff? And there's a black market, a lot of profiteering going on. Does anybody think that way at all? Am I the most unique person on YouTube here? That my mind is an open mind. I think out of the box. That's who I am. I'm never going to change in that way. Let's help each other first. Then we're in a better position. We could gratefully help other people right here in the Philippines. And I say this all the time. I see poverty all around me. I see animals in need. I can't help everybody. I'd go broke. Sometimes you got to just help yourself before you could help somebody else. You could do acts of kindness and help a sick animal instead of saying I'm going to throw water on him or throw rocks at him like somebody we know does. You could help a family, and man, I have done that. I have done that more times than I'll ever talk about or be willing to talk about. When I could afford to do it, and I could be selective too. You got to know when to do it and how to do it, or else you're going to have everybody at your door. Oh, I know you helped my friend out before. Can you help me too? Oh, I'm sorry, man, I can't, Everybody that walks up to me looking for money in the street, I just got to say no. I can't save the world, and that's one of my famous sayings on here. I cannot save the world. I got to save myself first and my own family and people I love before I could think of anybody else. But I'm not selfish, and even though I said that about saving myself and having my own self-preservation, I've still went against that, and I've still helped people out, even at times when maybe I wasn't in good shape to financially help anybody else. That's how I deal with things. I have a good conscience, man. I could go to my grave and know that I have helped people, and people that never even asked me. I've done more than that. I don't need to put my resume out on here. There's no need. I've done incredible things for people that I didn't have to, just that I wanted to. And I did it not to impress. I don't want to do anything to impress. I don't have to impress anybody. The way I comb my hair, the way I dress, my beliefs or non-beliefs, I don't have to impress anybody. I don't have to impress YouTubers. I don't have to impress anybody outside of YouTube. It's not necessary. Do what you feel is right about your life. Don't worry about what everybody else is thinking. Go on with your life. That's meaning on or off YouTube. Go on in your life. If what you do in your life works for you, then God bless you. I said that purposely. God bless you, son. Go in peace, my child. You have the right for free speech. That's even you, Barry. But it's according to what you say. when you violate those rights of free speech. And you got to put it into your knucklehead brain. That's why you're sitting where you are. And you will continue to do so the way you think. No, you're not always right, Barry. In fact, by your own history and demonstration, you've been wrong on just about everything we ever experienced or heard from you. Why don't you try reflecting on yourself for a while and the things that you've done? And you know what you've done in your life that was good or bad. You know what you've done. You're not going to tell us, but you certainly demonstrated to us. You certainly demonstrated to me. That's why you are where you are now and you're on trial. Put that in your head. Every action creates an equal or greater reaction. Something in that regard. And that's exactly what's going on here, because you can't shut your mouth. And even your girlfriend's telling you. That's probably why you're not on YouTube, because she had a good talk with you on New Year's Eve. Didn't she? Didn't she? Instead of giving a lame story that an immigration came by on a holiday to say they're going to confiscate your phone. You're still commenting on the shows. You tried commenting on mine, Kevin's, everybody's. You're still commenting. You still got your phone, you lying piece of shit. You lie to people about what you're going to do with the money. It never goes to the right source or for the right reason. All your life is you're just a chronic liar. That's why people don't like you. That's why people don't want to donate to you anymore. Am I making myself clear, Barry? I hope so. Don't force your beliefs on me. You want to believe in God? That's great. Fantastic to anybody who wants to have any belief they want. But practice what you fucking preaching, is what I'm saying. You are not a godly person. You could quote all the fucking verses in the Bible you want, but you are not a godly person, nor do you adhere to the values of Christ and God that you believe in. You don't adhere to any of the values. Stop being a hypocrite. God is not going to protect you if there is such a thing. You are not protected by God. You can say all the prayers that you want, but you continue to be and act as evil as you are. You're not going to get anywhere in life. That's guaranteed. And it's proven so far that your whole fucking life has been nothing but disaster upon disaster upon disaster. Your whole life has been a disaster. Why is that, Barry? Why is that, Sebastian? Why is that? Think about it. Reflect on it. Why are you in that position right now? And you think your relationship or any relationship you have is going to last? None of them have. Because you could be a pig. You could be a louse on the skin of society. You repulse people after a while. And sometimes you repulse people upon their first meeting. Who you are shows out. The minute you open your mouth and you lie, your mouth's just not moving when you eat. You're lying when you move your lips. That's the biggest movement on your mouth, because you have no teeth, is when your lips are moving. You're a liar. Why don't you try to change your life around and you wouldn't be in the situation you're in? You could call me any fucking name you want on your show. You could down me, slice and dice me. Call me Pedro, whatever you want to call me. It's not going to change who you are. It's just exemplifying who you are. A piece of shit. A parasite. That's what you are. By your own demonstration. You like victims. You like having victims. It makes you feel powerful. What you say about women, what their purpose is in your life, to get fucked. That's all you want them for. And for them to do things for you and to serve you on hand and foot, who the fuck are you? You're not a man in any fucking way. As we define man, a man could cry. A man could have feelings. A man stands on his own 2 feet. Doesn't come on here and beg all the time for money for a situation that you created for yourself. How's that for a sermon today, guys?